Hello, everybody. I'm here today with Kyle Hall, President of Resourcive. Hey, Kyle, welcome to this week's Business Spotlight.
Hey, Kelly, thanks for having me.
Hey, I really appreciate you taking time today. Let's get right to the questions. Kyle, tell me a little bit about your business, Resourcive.
Yeah, so Resourcive is a strategic sourcing firm. We focus on sourcing technology. So specifically technology that either makes your business grow faster, or often we're also like doing expense reduction type initiatives. So, whether it's networking, voice communications, cybersecurity, kind of you name it when it comes to technology. We're going to market as a consultant and running projects in those areas.
Excellent. How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing it about 6 years. The company's been doing it for about 21.
Oh, okay. Kind of how did you get into the IT side?
Yeah, so I mean, I ended up in it. I was transitioning out of the military, so I was in fifth Special Forces group as a Green Beret, and left the military and met the owner of Resourcive at essentially an event for transitioning special operations members. And he was looking to build the team, and I was looking for kind of my next adventure, and found a fit in each other and started here, and kind of started as project manager, and then worked my way up and president now.
Excellent. That's awesome. Who's your best customer? I mean, the target audience for your business.
Yeah, so most of our clients are private equity owned companies. So we're going into companies that are very aggressively looking to improve EBITDA. So whether that's through savings and expense reduction initiatives, or whether it's enabling and deploying technology that enables scale and growth. But vast majority of them are private equity owned companies, typically 250 million in annual revenue to 5 billion, that mid-market to lower enterprise.
And you guys help businesses globally, or is it predominantly United States? Or
I would say about 90% are headquartered here in the U.S., about 10% headquartered internationally. Of the ones that are headquartered in the U.S., maybe half of them also have international locations. So, I'm pretty kind of wherever they're at. I mean, it's not regionally driven at all, really. Our business isn't.
Yeah, so quite a bit of responsibility as the president of the company. What's been the biggest issues you've had to overcome since taking that position?
I feel like once I became president, I didn't really view any of them as issues anymore, right? It's more opportunities and kind of doing the work. I think a lot of my kind of responsibility and role is staying in touch with our product and our service and the market, and keeping those two things in alignment with each other, ensuring that we have a team who has the core capabilities to deliver what the market actually needs at any given time, which in our space changes all the time. We need to be able to consult and be experts on emerging technologies, as well as create expense reduction on things that are becoming commodities. Those things that are commodities today, well, they were emerging technology a few years ago, right? And being able to consult across all of those work streams and all those kind of technology verticals, and keeping the team fully staffed with the core capability to do that, has been the challenge. I mean, trying to grow, right? I mean, like sales and delivery, it's like a clutch and a gas pedal kind of on a hill.
Yeah, I mean, the technology changes so quickly, and it's like trying to keep up with that's probably a full-time job for somebody, right? Keeping up on all the newest stuff that's coming out, and how can it aid to what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's key that we hire people who, they're learners. They're constant learners. They thrive on it. And that's one of the big things we assess for in our interview process.
Okay. So what's been one of the biggest learnings since taking over as president of the company?
There's been a lot. There's been a lot of learnings. But I would say the biggest is probably how important recruiting is to that role. That kind of senior role, whether it's CEO, president, whoever. The recruiting seems to be one of the absolute most important parts of it. Especially as I try to create space for myself to spend more time in strategy and less time in execution. Recruiting a really great team around me. All of the great things that have happened have been because, I've been able to recruit great people, and the places we haven't been able to move fast enough have been because I've failed to recruit great people in those areas.
Yeah,
so.
that's a pretty good insight. Team is probably one of the most difficult things business owners deal with, from our perspective anyway, is getting, bringing on the right people, like you said, and then being able to keep them and actually knowing when to let them go. Right. So what has there been any secret you found to recruiting the right people?
I hire a lot of special operations veterans, which I think kind of depends on what way you look at it, right? I mean, I'm kind of going back to a network that I have a lot of experience with, and a lot of my personal network is still there. But I get a lot of great, just core attributes out of transitioning special operations members. It is a balance, right? Because they don't necessarily have all the technology expertise that I need to bring to the table. So I'm essentially hiring two types of veterans. I'm hiring, actual veterans or like IT veterans, people who've been around the block in IT on the client side, as a director of IT or VP of IT, those sort of things. And having that right balance and getting them to work effectively together has proven to work pretty well.
Excellent. So most businesses have a culture, right? That's either they intentionally develop or it's developed for them unintentionally, which isn't the best way for it to happen. But how important is culture fit in your recruiting process?
It's probably like the most important. Our first interview is for it. Our first kind of screening interview is designed and intended to be a culture fit, kind of yes, no type of thing. And it doesn't mean that they're always, sometimes they're a yes in that first one and something comes up in a subsequent panel interview or something like that, where it's like, maybe we were a little off, but it's kind of easy to get to a no in that first interview from a culture fit type perspective.
Yeah. Culture is so important. So, and do you guys use assessments at all during your hiring process to make sure it's the right fit and they're getting put in the right position as well?
We've used the big four, for instance. Like we've used some of those type assessments, but we don't as a formal. We have a more kind of traditional interview process where we're doing an initial kind of that culture screen and a hiring manager and a panel style interview. And sometimes, depending on the role, the panel may include like a case study style component.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it's been successful for you because one of the things you have is a great team, you said. So what have you learned about yourself during this journey? I know as a former special operations NCO, you learn a lot. You learned a ton about yourself there, right? What have you learned about yourself in the position you're in now?
The two things are actually closely related. When I was in the military and I was a Green Beret, like that was my identity. Right. And I held it very, very closely. And then you leave and you don't have that anymore. And I threw a lot of that into work. And it worked really, really well for me. I'm president of the company now. It's been a success factor in a lot of kind of things that I've done in my life. But what I have learned, and transparently, like I'm still learning, is how to balance some of those things, because left to my own devices, like I would work all day, every day, all the time. But I'm married, I have 3 kids, and I think they deserve my presence and attention and those things as well. And so I would say probably the biggest thing I've learned and am still learning is, a lot gets thrown out about like work balance. I don't know that it's balance, but rather, how to be present wherever I'm at. If it's with them, to be present with them, and if it's at work, to be fully present here.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, there's not a balance. I agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're running a business, it takes a lot, but it's about the time that you have, making that really good time, right? And being able to include family in as much as you can with what you do. So what's the future look like, for Resourcive, and what do you see as the main challenges as you move forward?
So, I mean, I think the biggest challenge for me, and I talked a little bit about it, is having a balance in my staffing and my sales funnel, right? I mean, I'm looking to grow. I'm growing about 30%, year over year, and looking to meet or exceed that going forward. But I think the balance there is, we have to ensure excellence in delivery while also growing sales. So as I'm bringing it in, I need to ensure that I'm building the team with enough capacity to fulfill that sales funnel, but not so fast that I'm becoming inefficient and hurting margin. So I mean, I think it's constant. I mean, that adjustment and staying on that wave is pretty constant, and it requires building out the right team, and then also ensuring that we stay in alignment with where the market is going as far as what strategic technologies are emerging. And there's a lot of marketing in IT and technology, right?
Mhm.
What we really care about are the ones that produce real value creation at the companies that we consult in. And so ensuring that we're focused in the right work streams that create the largest business impact for our clients is, I mean, that's kind of comes with the territory for what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gotta affect either the bottom line or alleviate some time for them or something, help them with time.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to anybody thinking of going into business for themselves?
What worked well for me, I think entrepreneur gets thrown around a lot, and it's real, great term, but I think being an entrepreneur gets overlooked a lot of times. Whatever company you're in, even if you're not out on your own, if you treat it like your own, it's effectively like training wheels before you go and launch it, on your own dime. I would encourage people wherever they're at to be acting like an owner, whether they're launching their own business or not. I mean, even if it's someone else's business, if you're acting like an owner, you can kind of learn if you have what it takes or not, at least in some aspects. Now, there's some aspects that you'd never really truly experience, right, until it's your house on the line, or your family's financial security on the line, right? Like, that's a whole different aspect. But I guess what I would encourage people to do is, if you're kind of on the fence, or you're currently in a job and you're wondering if you have what it takes, or if you want to do that, like, own wherever you're at already. Whether it's your business or someone else's, and I think that's going to really set you up for success one day when you do decide to launch your own.
Yeah, that's really great advice, because treating it like your own business, of course you're going to want to learn as much as you can, and that's going to force learning, because learning is how you grow. Learning is how you become successful in any position or any business. It's always massive learning. So that's great advice. One last question: any offers or messages that you'd like to include in the newsletter?
Oh, offers. I mean, love to bring myself and my team's core capabilities to any of your network. I mean, and help either drive technology adoption or expense reduction, within their IT shop. So.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. We'll make sure that's there. Well, Kyle, that wraps up the interview. Really nice job. Thanks so much for taking time with us today. I enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. Thanks, Kyle.